hearty shout out to all of you in the Rabyd Nation, whether you're a tourist or you've actually become a member and a citizen of the nation. Welcome one and all to the Rabyd Nation. I'm your host, Ed Rabyd, a former pastor turned atheist, now compassionate anti-theist. Welcome to my channel and welcome to tonight's live stream. Tonight I will be fulfilling a promise to myself of reviewing Paul's videos that deal with Habermas, mostly because I kind of got drawn into that conflict a little bit myself, but also this video actually isn't that old. It's almost 3 weeks old, so I don't know if some of you have mentioned in the comments whether the saga continues. I get it, but also I think what I'm looking at is more of maybe an epilogue. Maybe we're going to go back to the prequels. I have no idea. So there's that, but thanks one and all. So I'm going to be reviewing this video by Paulogia as he deals with the back and forth that happened probably about a month ago, realistically, but maybe 3 weeks ago. But I felt I needed to interrupt last week with Alex O'Connor thing because it's an issue that interests me and it was a little bit hotter. So but I want to get back to Paulogia because I am I've had a long email conversation with Paul of, and when you start conversing with somebody on something, you get to know a guy better. And Paul Entz is one of the stand-up guys. I kind of like him. So he's, the more we've gone back and forth, I've kind of enjoyed the conversation. So, and he's definitely a guy that cares about these issues. So I'm going to continue to review that. Just a reminder, there's a goal in chat. If we reach that goal, I will wear the hat chosen by the poll. That is just my polite way of asking for money to keep the streams active. Thank you very much for that. Just setting a little bit of a goal there. Although I do see that Fred has already gifted some memberships, and I'm going to have to see, who did those go to? Dave Kazak, Scuzzbopper. That's actually a kind of cool name. Mad, oh boy, I can't even remember. Pres Piggy. Okay, so you're one of the Pres Piggies. Okay, there we go. President Piggy, there we go. Shofton and Kent Speak. Okay, I'll receive gifted membership, so thank you for that, Fred. I appreciate it. But there we go. And as always, I'm going to do a quick roll call, and I'll try to remember to mention people when they show up. But Fred was here early. Thanks, Fred. Rimmer is here. Dragon Rider is here. Alex is here. Evan is here. Detroit Atheist Queen is here. And yes, Tilting Windmill does indeed rock. So we have an agreement point already. So, and if you're in Detroit, I'm not. I'm up in West Michigan, so I'm not too far away from you. Probably a 3.5 hour drive. I could be in Detroit if I wanted to be, but I usually don't. I'm a country boy at heart, a small town boy at heart. So Martin's here. All right, and Earl, the lap in which our Lord naps, is also here. Welcome to you. So Mom is here, so you have to behave a little bit more. Not really. Wolf is here, and Michael Wolf is here. So the wolves are here. The cranky elder gods have arrived. Everything is all welcome for the seance that is about to be here. Skeptical philosophy is here. Oh my goodness! All of you are all the cool kids are here. So I guess we can get started. I know a lot of you are probably voting for the Holy Bunny hat. I do want to make an announcement. I've kind of like ordered a couple new hats for the holidays, so they may be making an appearance as soon as they arrived. So as soon as that happens, they'll be in the goal probably as new hat reveals or whatever over the coming weeks. So I thought I would definitely do something a little bit more festive. Yes. Yeah. All the cool babies are here. Yes, they are. All right. Let's pull up Paul's video. I think I've already got the sound off. I'm going to pause it here, restart it, kick up the volume a little bit, and then we're going to get started. But this is Paul's video. The illusion of resurrection scholarship just collapsed. This is a Gary Habermas response by Paul. And I want to review it to kind of add my scholarly, my Bible and theology scholar take to it. So there's that. Yes, Elizabeth, you are definitely one of the cool kids. Okay, this is, you got to understand the Rabyd Atheist. If you're here at the Rabyd Atheist in chat, and you are at the cool kids table, all of you. So there you go. So, and Amanda's here too. All right. So here we go. Let's see how this went a few weeks ago, where Paul was dealing with Habermas and a few others. So there you go.
I wanted to ask you as well, how did you go about keeping track of all the scholarly opinions?
First of all, I'm not trying to sound cocky, but the Lord's given me a good memory. I teach PhD courses without notes.
First method, good memory. Second method,
as I would go through, I have a notebook here on my right. I forgot about that. It's got little tiny sheets of paper, little tiny squares.
Second method, tiny sheets of paper.
And thirdly, I would categorize them in notes.
Third method, categories and notes.
And fourthly, I remember a very good memory. It's just there.
Fourth method is also good memory. Perfect.
Okay, I got to stop there. I remember watching that the first time and just started to bust out laughing. Paul has well documented Habermas's slippery memory. Okay. And I think that's Paul that was just so beautifully done. Yeah, he's not giving Gary any slack at all, but it's like, I listened to that the first time and I just fell apart. Like, I'm like, yes, good memory, little tiny sheets of paper, notes and categories, and a good memory. So there we go. So I have to give Paul props out for that. That was beautifully done. When I heard that myself, I felt the same way. So yes. Yeah. Gary works. Yeah. The thing we need to remember is Gary Habermas does work at Liberty University. So just keep that in mind. For those of you who don't know, Liberty among some is kind of a joke as a university. So if you're looking for great scholarship, they don't always have it. So there you go. He notes, but he forgot about his notes on tiny sheets of paper because he has good memory. Gary, are you having a stroke? Liberty, yes. Yes, liberty, yes. Oh, I would say worse, but yes, there we go. So let's get on with the video, though.
Welcome to Paulogia.
Paulogia, that's the skeptical YouTuber who asked the question,
where a former Christian takes a look at the claims of Christians. And today, we're venturing once again into the world of renowned resurrection scholar Gary Habermas.
Now, the world-renowned expert on the resurrection is my friend Dr. Gary Habermas. He has released 3 volumes of his magnum opus. Here's number 1 for those of you watching on YouTube. Oh, sorry, that's it. That's the second one. Here's the first one. And the third volume, which just came out very recently, is called On the Resurrection, Scholarly Perspectives.
Whose promotional tour for the third book of his 4-volume magnum opus has seemingly transformed into a reputation damage control tour due to a combination of his own unclear or unsubstantiated claims and a growing body of people pressing against them. We'll be
okay, and I want to get the you have a valid point that tiny sheets of paper needs to be a meme. But yes, this is Paul's very accurately describing the situation at that time. I haven't looked it up. Hold on. There's something I look up usually look up before every stream when I deal with Habermas, how his books are doing financially. They are all still at half price, all of them, and they've been at half price ever since the criticism started. So there you have it. So there's that. You're talking about Turek, I assume. Yeah, he's the fact that you have Turek endorsing you is not as flex. I don't think it's a flex. So there you go. Hey, Jimmy, good to see you. Good to see Jimmy the Tux. There we go. Glad to see you. But yes, there has been a growing opposition. I was part of that. Paul's been part of that. I think the real key opposition, though, I would say at this point, is probably coming from Gary's own team. Because from an apologetic standpoint, Gary has made a particular claim now since minimal facts was introduced that he still has not produced data to prove. Okay. And it's a foundational problem. So there's that. But yes, there's a growing opposition, and it has moved from promotion of the books to more of a damage control situation. So there you go. But there you go. So yeah, there have been half off roughly since this controversy started. Like since me and Paul blew it up, and I kind of backed him up on it, and several others have now backed him up on it. And yeah, it's not been productive for Mr. Habermas. We'll just put it that way. So
Serving some beef, some tea, some correction, some vindication, and even some substantive scholarly debate. But first we need some context and a reintroduction to one of the characters in the drama, one of Gary's acolytes, a gentleman named Dale, and a YouTube channel he calls Real Seekers.
All right, well, let's transition to the main guy, Paulogia himself. And the first thing, as you know, you've seen the video, so he and I have been kind of engaging back and forth.
Dale has been presented on my channel 3 times. The first in a video called This Resurrection Survey Wasn't What I Expected at All, where he played host to a scholar party.
I'm doing a special for Gary Habermas, a celebration show.
The second as a cautionary tale in a video called How Not to Defend the Resurrection Against Minimal Witnesses.
With me tonight is our friend from Real Seekers, Dale. How you doing tonight, bud?
And here's how Dale himself looks back on his own performance in that one.
Originally, I did sort of an ad hoc video on Paulogia, admittedly one where I didn't put a lot of time and effort into considering what his hypothesis was.
And the third time, he doesn't appear, but I made
hey, that guy looks familiar. He looks familiar. Yeah, that guy. Yeah.
a verbal reference to his interactions with Ed Rabyd, the rabid atheist, in my most recent Gary Habermas video called Resurrection Scholar Doesn't Like My Fact-Checking. A YouTuber and former pastor called Rabid Atheist did a 3-part series covering my Volume 3 critique, and Gary's real-life friend, under the name Real Seeker, was actively in the live chat for those. And if you go to Ed's channel, you can see the two of them feuding for the past few months.
There has been going back and forth between Paulogia and also an atheist, the Rabid Atheist. I've sort of given up on the Rabid Atheist. I think he's sort of set in his mind that, yeah, me and Gary are liars. We're purposefully trying to deceive people. But
I want to clarify that. I simply said that was an option as long as you don't give your sources, that people could level the criticism that you're lying about all these sources that you have. I didn't actually really call them liars. I just simply said that I could make that accusation. Okay. This is why it's important to cite your sources, people. This is middle school stuff. If you say criticism is coming from a direction, you mention the name. Okay. So yeah, I know that guy too. All the stories. But yes, I have to stop here because Real Seeker did give up on me. He even said that to me in a comment that he'd given up to me, but I was just saying, sorry, if you don't give the sources, then what you have is a possible accusation. This is why in scholarship, we give sources, we cite our sources, because then we avoid the criticism of lying about claims. Okay. You absolutely can avoid all kinds of criticism just by citing your sources. And yeah, you cite your sources if you want to be taken seriously. And it's like, that was my only point to him. Now, I have to also say about Real Seeker that in one of his comments, and I think I clipped this comment, so if anybody wants to see it later, I can do that. But it's like, he basically accused me of engaging in a psychological trick to get the name simply because I was being scholarly and trying to get sources. That's normal scholarship, people. Just get the sources. Hey, Triple E, good to see you. Thanks. All right. Yeah, you can always, I hopefully sometime this weekend, I'm putting all the Paulogia stuff in its own playlist. So if you guys want to watch just that, you can do that. So hopefully that'll be good. But yeah. Yeah. Why, yes, it is. So I just want to clarify that at this point, that my conflict with Real Seeker was, on the one side, he was accusing me of a psychological trick just for asking for sources. And then on the other hand, he was, like, I've given up on him because he's just accusing us of being liars. I'm like, no, that's the problem with not citing sources, is you can be accused of being a liar. I want to make that very, 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 very clear. So it's going to get good. Yeah, it's going to get good. I'm going to do a two-part on this. I'm going to cover about half of it this week and then the other half next week. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but at the same time, I'm in this video. I kind of promised myself I'd back Paul up with this stuff with my own scholarly creds, because one of the chief criticisms against Paulogia is he doesn't have a degree in the right field or whatever. And it's like, no, the guy does his research. And I value the quality of a person's research, not the initials in front of or back of their name. So that's kind of the way I roll.
There's still hope for Paulogia.
There's still hope for me.
And he's been engaging a little bit with Gary Habermas and his new books.
A little bit? A 16 video playlist over the past 5 years with more than 1.5 million views, responding to his interviews and lectures. Plus,
Yes. Understatement of the year goes to Real Seeker.
my 7 video playlist, blog article, and in-progress writing on the minimal witnesses hypothesis, which directly engages Gary's written work. He's even got a verse in my song.
He says, can you ask what Dr. Gary Habermas thinks about Paulogia's theory?
Paulogia either doesn't know the data, or he just wants to whisk it away by going, these are hallucinations.
So yeah, I've been engaging a little bit.
I kind of felt that he's been a bit unfair and nitpicky against Gary in his criticisms and taking him out of context, not being charitable and that sort of thing. But I know he's working on a video in November.
You're watching it now.
I hope I'm alive when that thing comes out.
And I hope that he treats Gary and I in charitability. Look, the video that I did with Gary responding to various skeptical objections, there were several scholars and skeptical laymen that we were responding to.
And that video of Dale and Gary is what has us gathered together today to help everyone keep track.
Correct.
I'm calling that interview and this response Round 3. Round 1 was a multi-apologist release party to celebrate Gary's 3rd volume and my initial fact-checking of those claims. Round 2 was Gary's multi-platform book publicity tour, where he faced questions about my fact-checking. And now we have Round 3, where Gary backtracks even further in the wake of pushback from Round 2.
So basically today, though, I did want to bring you on because I think it's been important. I've seen a lot of skeptics and stuff. We're going to leave them unnamed, but they've been kind of responding and raising certain objections to your Volume 3.
Yeah.
And I wanted to give you an opportunity to kind of give the truth on this and respond to some of these things. So
that's the intro of Gary's video, where Dale is presented as the initiator. But that's not entirely congruent with how Dale would describe the origin of the conversation a few weeks later.
There were several scholars and skeptical laymen that we were responding to. And that was Gary's idea. I didn't pitch doing a show. I just wanted answers to some of the issues that had come up. And he said, well, hey, I want to help people if I can. So why don't we make this a show? You put together all the skeptical objections from the various skeptics out there, and I'll address them.
Now in rounds 1 and 2, I teased Gary for refusing to say my name, even when he's clearly responding to me.
Just out of curiosity, who was that critic that you had in mind there? So
I probably would rather not use the name on the air.
It's okay. You can say my name, Gary.
Say my name.
A trend that Gary felt the need to address.
These objections raised by various skeptics, again, we didn't mention anyone's name on purpose, but there were fans of mine, both Christian and non-Christians, who at least I think are sincere in wanting these answers. So,
Dale, let me say at the end, just in case we get nailed on this one, why didn't you made the point? Why didn't we mention any of these skeptics by name? I mean, there's a number of reasons, but one is I'm not trying to call anybody out on the carpet. I'm not trying to say anybody's dumb. I didn't say that about anybody. I think I don't call their if I call their name, they'll say I took them out of context. Whatever. You'll always have those arguments. You've done more research on that than I have. I don't know who the naysayers, let's call them. So as not to, at least my view, we did it because there's no need to call people out and act like we think they're entitled to their view.
Gary has certainly felt.
Okay, all right. I'm going to make myself bigger as I address this particular point. I still find this reasoning absolutely lame. Okay, it's lame. When you're dealing with critics, like if I have had my critics against me, and when I become aware of it, I always mention their name, and it has nothing to do with calling them dumb. It has nothing to do with yelling about being taken out of context. It's people have to me, people should know where the criticism is coming from so that I can go out and check it out myself. Okay. Like, I want to make sure that you're doing it right. I want to make sure, are you being critical for the right reasons? If you're defending yourself against criticism, you need to tell people where the criticism is coming from so you don't get accused of straw manning the criticism. Right now, I could look at Gary Habermas and what Real Seeker are doing in this video at this point and going, you're creating a narrative around this criticism, but I don't have any way of checking as to whether your narrative about the criticism is correct. Like I don't have a way because you haven't given me the names. You haven't given me the names of the critics. If you had given Paulogia's name and a link to his playlist of all the things that he's done with Habermas and been accurate about the fact that this is a long-running criticism by somebody outside in the community saying, these are my criticisms of it, you would have at least been giving people an opportunity to go and look at it for themselves. But you're basically saying, I don't trust you to look at this criticism for yourself, so I'm going to create a narrative around this criticism that I can control. Okay. And to me, this is bad. Now, as Elizabeth points out, yes, maybe Habermas didn't know them, but Real Seeker sure as hell did. And he could have told Habermas with a criticism. And Habermas certainly knew about Paulogia's criticism because Paulogia pointed that out. I want to make this very abundantly clear. When you play vague games like this, okay, you create an atmosphere where people can accuse you of lying. They can accuse you of misrepresentation. If you give names and give links to where the criticism is coming from, then people can go check that out to make sure you're being fair. If you don't want to do that, then I'm sorry. I think there's a little dishonesty there. Okay. I don't know if it's full out lying, but it's like you're trying to protect something from criticism, and you don't want to actually listen to Paul's criticism. You don't want to actually listen to my criticism, that sort of thing. So I don't know. Yeah, it might be, it might be, but yes, it's like I still have the same objection despite that reasoning. It's like, if Habermas said we don't want to mention nobody, we're trying to avoid the controversy. Well, that's the problem. That looks like damage control. Like it's like you don't want any criticism of your view at all. That's not the way scholarship works. Okay, if you're doing real scholarship, you anticipate criticism and you address it. And then if there's criticism outside that anticipation, then you go and deal with that too. But I'm sorry, I'm just not convinced by this explanation, and still am not. So, but let's go on.
Free to call me out before.
Paulogia explains this. He's gonna get it wrong.
So this is a new policy. And in what is going to be a running theme for this whole video, the apologists are going to entirely misunderstand or misrepresent the motivations and substance of my objections and the objections of other critics.
A lot of skeptics have kind of taken advantage of you have sort of a policy where you want to engage in certain types of skeptics, credible scholarly types, whereas you try to avoid mentioning, popularizers or dealing with popularizers.
Right.
I just wanted to
My friend Dr. Gary Habermas.
on the Rabyd Atheist. I think he's sort of
Okay, let me find that again. Sorry, that was my bad because I got to learn to not hit buttons.
Round 3, where Gary backtracks
Okay,
objections and the objections of other critics.
a lot of skeptics.
Okay, I want to stop with this one. Where do I fit in is my question. Because I have the master's degree in theological studies from Asbury. I have the degree in biblical studies from Trinity Bible College, Ellendale, North Dakota. I have a bachelor's degree from Ferris State University in political science. But I'm also on YouTube. Am I a popularizer and a skeptic and a scholar? I still want to know where the hell I fit into this, because I think I have enough education to be critical of what Habermas is doing and have some legitimate punch to that, while at the same time, being a popularizer just means you make something popular. I don't understand the criticism. To me, the value in scholarship is the quality of the work. I don't. Yeah, and Fred is bringing up which skeptics. Like, we're still asking that question. You make these definitions as to defining which ones are skeptics and which ones are not, and then it seems like you have exceptions. So, what the hell is it? Like, I want to know, okay? Because I think that's my criticism at this point, and it's still something that exists. Like, if somebody's doing good scholarly work and they don't have a PhD, they're still doing good scholarly work. It's the scholarly work standard that matters, not the damn initials in front of them and back of your name. Okay, I've known plenty of PhDs who, under closer analysis, did shoddy or fraudulent work. So that doesn't prove anything. Okay, there's too much of, we want the authority of somebody instead of what their scholarly work is. And that's the problem.
Have kind of taken advantage of you have sort of a policy where you want to engage in certain types of skeptics, credible scholarly types, whereas you try to avoid mentioning, popularizers or dealing with popularizers.
Right.
I just wanted to get from you, they will take advantage of that and say, well, see, Gary's afraid of me. He can't.
It's not about being afraid of me. I don't give a damn if you're afraid of me or not. Okay. I don't think Paul gives a damn whether you're afraid of him or not. I think what the issue is, what are you afraid of what they're saying? Because that's what I think you're really afraid of, because what they're saying is legit criticism backed up by data, and you don't want to deal with that. Okay, that's my problem. Okay, I don't care if you're, I have never said that the reason Habermas doesn't engage me or Paul is fear. Okay, I don't know where the hell that came from, because I've never heard Paul say that they're afraid of Paul or they're afraid of me, the Rabyd Atheist. I've heard them make a lot of excuses why they won't engage my objections. Okay. But I don't care if you're afraid of, I don't care if you're afraid of me or not. My questions to you are still based on what are your sources, and you still haven't proven your foundational claim, Habermas, that 90% of people back up these claims. These scholars back up these claims. I mean, I think you're going to deal with that in this video, but it's like, I don't care. I've never said that you're afraid of me. Okay. I've said, what are you afraid of? Okay. What are you afraid of addressing? If these are just popularizers with no, it might not be that thing at all. Like are you afraid of the argument? Okay. I don't care if are you afraid of the data? Like in Paulogia's case, when he fact checked your, mostly non-Christians claim and found out, yeah. So it's one of those things that I don't, thank you, Earl. I appreciate that. Oh my goodness. Here. But yes, I'll show this later. I want to keep the video up because I have a tendency to screw that part up. But but yes, it's the issue for me, okay, has always been, why are you afraid of the argument? Why are you afraid of the data? Why are you afraid of doing the research on the data yourself and producing that? That's what was my disappointment with volume 3. You had a golden opportunity, Gary, to absolutely give us the data that proved once and for all that the claim Jesus Christ was killed by crucifixion was backed up by 90% of scholars, that Paul saw, Jesus on the road to Damascus, which to me, that fact is really sketchy. Anyway, you had a golden opportunity. Yes, these are the 90% of scholars that back that claim. You had a golden opportunity to do the research and put that in volume 3, and you screwed it up. You didn't give us what we were thought was coming. And this is a claim you have made since Minimal Facts has started, that 90% of scholars back this crap up. And so far, the best answer you've given, and I think it's even in this interview, I don't know if Paul deals with it, is, well, I have my scholarly intuition. And it's like the beginning of Paul's video here: good memory, small pieces of paper, notes and categories, and good memory. So it's like, no. So yeah, so it's that aspect. So yeah, it's like no bar bill. Yeah, I don't know. I don't get this part. Like, it's not, why are you afraid of the data? Why are you afraid of the information? Why are you afraid of that, Gary? Like, I don't care if you're afraid of me. I don't think Paul cares if you're afraid of him. I want to know why you're afraid of the criticism. Okay.
Can't refute my argument.
Right.
I just want to hear from you. What is your thinking behind that policy?
Well, I'll say positive and negative. I've not seen anybody. You see more of these responses than I do, for sure. But I've not seen anybody say he's afraid of me.
I'm pretty sure I watch more of these responses than both of you. And I'll agree with Gary here that I've not seen anybody say that they are afraid of Gary. I did say I was sad about Gary's policy, my Bachelor of Commerce in Computer Science degree, and incomplete run towards a Bachelor of Theology do not add up to anything close to these credentials. So Gary will never have to address my minimal witnesses hypothesis directly, and that's fair enough. I can respect a clear methodology. You can't cover everything. But that's a far cry from accusing Gary of being scared of me, nor am I concerned with being called out by Gary.
It was his idea not to name names out of charity. He didn't want that video to come across as kind of an attack video.
It's not a question that's a horrible, it's still a horrible reason. I'm sorry. You can punt it back to Gary. So it's Gary's idea. I'm not going to mention names. And he didn't want it to come off as it's not about attacking at this point. You're being attacked. You need to put up a defense and answer my questions. Okay. If you can't answer my questions, I'm going to be more and more skeptical. Like, I don't think Habermas or you understand then how people work. If you keep acting like you're hiding something, people are going to get suspicious. That's human nature. Okay. That's well-documented psychological effects in a lot of people. When you hide information or hide stuff, people get skeptical of what you're doing. They start to think you're up to no good. Okay. And your better response would have been the Harry Potter response. I solemnly swear that I am up to no good. But it's just not, it's not a good response when you say, oh, we didn't want the controversy. Like, you already have the controversy, dude. You need to make some sort of defense. Okay. Be an apologist, defend the faith, defend your work. I still don't get this part, and I'm still never going to get it.
Or something. You just wanted it to be, look, here's the substantive objection. How do I respond to it?
Well, that's the problem. The audience can't evaluate Gary's response to the substantive objection if he's not citing the source for the objection. The audience just has to take Gary at his word that he's accurately conveying the objection. Without the citation, Gary may well be fighting a straw man of his own invention. The whole reason for his Volume 3 book to exist is allegedly to provide all the citations. But when it comes to being critical of the book, he thinks avoiding citations is the better policy. Avoiding saying the names undermines Gary's credibility. a point that interviewer Dale seemed to have acknowledged in a comment he left on a Rabid Atheist YouTube video.
Gary requested that we not mention anyone's names on the show, not just Paulogia, because he wanted to be respectful and get his answers out there without it looking like we were engaging in a tit-for-tat attack video against the skeptics we referenced. The motivations were respectful, not disrespectful. Now, as I was quoted in the video from one of my comments, I personally disagree with Gary's policy. I think it would be better to just drop the names, as there is no harm done by doing so, and only creates confusion and willful misrepresentation of him by doing so. But as a host, I respect my guests' wishes. I have done so in various ways over the years to accommodate a guest who makes a special request before coming on the show. This has nothing to do with cowardice on my part, as though I was too scared to say no to Gary or something, but instead I was accommodating a guest's wishes within reason, as any good host will do.
And in fact, this ambiguity has caused problems even in this conversation. In round 1, Gary was bragging about volume 3 referencing more Christians than non-Christians, and I fact-checked him.
There are probably more non-Christians than Christians in the book.
Probably more non-Christians than Christians in the book? Now, 558 scholars is a lot of scholars, but it's not so many scholars that I can't go find out.
Okay, I'm going to stop. I do want to deal with that. Yeah, he is. I sent him the copy of the conversation. Martin may have noticed that he was in that conversation too, but I sent him that conversation, and that's what he's quoting. And to be fair to Real Seeker, he says, yeah, I disagreed with that. And like, I get, I'm trying to be a respectful host, but at the same time, I would have made it known to Habermas. I said, this is not going to make you look good. Okay, because it's looking like you're, as Paul says, like you're straw manning, or you're not taking the criticism seriously. You're hand waving. I mean, you could make a long list. By not citing your sources, you're actually making yourself look worse than better. Okay, and a concerned host would have pointed that out. Okay, like yes, but then Dale kind of doubles down on this, like stuff too. So yeah, there's some concerns there. That's why I put up Elizabeth's comment there, but it's like, yeah, or you're a coward. That's a possibility. See, you when you don't name names, and when you don't tell people where the criticisms are coming from, people can accuse you of all kinds of things. Okay, so yes. Yeah, he's another excuse is this. Yeah, that was that paragraph. I know he doesn't deserve it at this point. I get it, because he's accused me of using psychological tricks. He flat out in one conversation says, because I'm an atheist, he can't trust anything I say. So he's automatically indicated his bigotry against atheists. So yeah, it was not a pleasant exchange. And I fairly certain Real Seeker isn't welcome here. I'd probably let him talk a little bit, but I'm like, dude, until you start understanding the nature of scholarship, I don't know if we have anything to talk about. So it's kind of like that. So yeah, you're non-existent hat. So it's stupid. It's like the whole purpose is to get publicity. I mean, if you made the lame excuse, Cranky, that you didn't want these YouTubers who you think are doing bad work to get more popular, I guess I could kind of see it. That's kind of like, I'm not going to platform this guy. And some people do that, but I have never had that view of not platforming. I'm like, some of these people, just let them talk. Yeah, he was, okay, fair enough. I'll let you guys talk. Yeah, so there's that. But yes, that's kind of where we were at this point. So
the self-proclaimed religions of each, for those who have been public about such things. As far as I can determine, based on public record, Gary's got 2 agnostics, 4 ancient Greeks, presumably polytheistic, 12 atheists, 1 Buddhist, 4 deists, 14 Jews, and 1 self-proclaimed skeptic. 78 were unknown, undeclared, or just underdetermined. And that leaves 443 of Gary's scholars who self-identify as Christians. Because Gary didn't specify what kind of Christians he meant, I'm not going to split hairs on denominations. Even if all 78 of those unidentified were part of the Church of Satan, that still means 79% of the authors referenced in Gary's book are Christians.
Okay, I want to stop there too, because this is the source of the original controversy. Farts with a waving away farts with a bullet holy bunny hat. I have no idea. But thank you, Cranky. Appreciate it. And that's two out of 5 so far. All right. Yeah. It wasn't even close, Skeptic. That's the problem. When Paulogia put up that video where he fact-checked Gary, it wasn't even close. It's 79% of these people are Christians, okay, of various denominations. And Gary repeatedly said that the majority of them were non-Christians. Well, we're going to get to how the several excuses that he tries to get around this. But this has been the reaction. Like, it's like, no, you made the claim during the promotional tour constantly that, and Real Seeker comes on and says, oh, he misspoke himself. Well, he misspoke himself a lot. Okay. So it's like, it was an original claim that he made, and that's just the facts. Okay. And he's kind of stuck with that claim. And he's going to make several excuses, but yeah, we weren't like counting Chads here. For those of you old enough to know the joke, we weren't, doing a recount here. Okay. Like this, if this was an election, there's no need for a recount. Okay. Like we get it clear. Okay. But the vast majority of the people he cited in Book 3 were Christian. Okay. That's just facts. So, there's that.
92% of the identified authors are Christians. We will come back to the substance of this, but for now, let's look at how in round 2, Gary was characterizing who made the objection.
So you were telling me earlier that someone had told you that there are several skeptics out there who are asking or they're really pushing back on you in a specific manner.
In this volume.
Yeah, in this volume.
Yeah.
You cite, was it close to 6 or over 500 different scholars? More than 500 different scholars. But most of those that you have listed in the index are Christians. I think like 350. You said there are about 350 of those 550 are Christians.
I have not counted the index names. Oh, I see what you're saying. You mean people who write in this book? Yeah, it's been reported to me so far that there's been 3 different skeptical scholars who have said something like this.
Gary said the claim came from 3 unnamed skeptical scholars, yet the numbers Mike used were clearly my numbers, and Gary does not consider me a scholar. So there's no way to tell if Gary knows full well he's talking about me, or if we can take him at his word that he's relaying an anonymized secondhand story. And I presciently speculated, and Gary's real-life friend, under the name Real Seeker, was actively in the live chat for those. So if I had to guess, that's probably where the report originated. And 2 YouTubers evolved through legendary development to 3 skeptical scholars. My guess was confirmed in the newest Dale Gary interview.
Yeah, I think you told me one time, Dale, and this doesn't come from my account because I don't read or count these things, but you told me that a few scholars, I think you said 3, but a few, I'm not being specific. I didn't do the research.
And before that, confirmed by Dale in some YouTube comments.
One thing I clarify as it relates to me personally and what Paulogia said about me as Gary's source for the report about you and him as 3 skeptical scholars. Paulogia claimed that I either lied to Gary and or that Gary miscommunicated about this when actually Gary was factually correct on this front. I was referring to 3 actual PhD scholars on this front. And so I wasn't addressing you or Paulogia there at all. Obviously, I referenced you guys to him elsewhere to respond to. Of course. Heck, I'm looking at a 2021 peer-reviewed paper that I sent to Gary with 2 of those 3 scholars right now.
Amazing. Great. Ed and his commentators naturally asked the reasonable follow-up question. Who are these scholars? So that we might read them for ourselves.
Now, as to the names of the 3 skeptical scholars, the reverse psychology trick was working on me for a moment. At first, I genuinely felt...
Okay, there it is. I want it. this is what he accused me of for asking for names because I wanted to read them. That somehow I was engaged in a reverse psychology trick to get him to break his rule and give me the names. I'm like, you're not on the show right now, dude. Give me the names, okay? And all of a sudden, I became engaging in a reverse psychological trick. I'm sorry, no. I was just asking for names. The assumption pissed me off. Okay, I'm an autistic person. I autistically mask all the time. But when I read that comment the first time, I got pissed off, okay? Because it's like, that is not my motivation. And the fact that he would assume that motivation just tells me something pretty bad. Yeah. How is it reverse psychology to do this? Now, I'm glad Paulogia put this in the video for post, we can look at this for years to come, okay? It's been recorded. We've got it down. We have screenshots of a lot of this stuff. I don't have everything, unfortunately, but it's like, I am so glad that this has been recorded for posterity. I really am, because my whole motivation was, who are the names? Who are the scholars? Who are these 3 PhD scholars? So I know the truth, but I can't tell you because of reverse psychology. Yes, that's kind of the thing. So when I got to this part, I was like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm a scholar asking for scholarly names. I love to read these guys. Okay. I've got like, well, I'll wait because I want to let Paul take it over for here. So there you go. But yes, like I got to this point and I was just upset. Like, it's like, I'm not doing reverse psychology here, dude. I'm just asking for damn names. So yeah. Thanks, Martin. Appreciate it. That's 4. One more. And it looks like the Holy Bunny hat, as always, is just way ahead. So, but
bad that you were taking our refusal to mention names in the show I did with Gary as a sign of disrespect. But after seeing the pathetic attempt to shame me into providing the names by assuming I'm a liar, unless and until I reveal them, I've decided I'm not going to do so now. Yep, consider me the name Nazi. No names for you. Next.
Nothing for you. But Ed persisted.
So finally, I pry these 2 names out of Real Seeker's mind. He gives me Michael Alter and Slade as the 2 PhDs.
So Michael J. Alter and Darren M. Slade, even though Alter doesn't have a PhD. Here's their 2021 paper critiquing Gary, which matches the detail Dale mentioned in the comment. But the trouble is, Dr. Lycona asked Gary about objections about this just-released volume, not to scholars with a 4-year-old gripe.
There are several skeptics out there who...
I got to stop there because I want to emphasize Paul's point. The paper that Alter and Slade wrote is way before Habermas released volume 3. Like, it's a 4-year-old gripe with Habermas about the 90% claim, okay? So this could not have been the skeptic scholars pushing against volume 3 at all. So not only did Real Seeker, I had to pry the names out of him, but he gave me 2 names that were irrelevant to what was originally said. Okay, Alter and Slade are great. It's a great paper to read. You can go back and watch Paulogia's video, and he has it up there. I think you may have the link in the description. It's a great paper to read. Alter has a great video on this subject. Go write it. But he literally gave me 2 names when he finally did give me names that had nothing to do with the 3 scholars that he was mentioning that were pushing it back against volume 3. And so I still don't have 3 names about the people pushing against volume 3. Okay. Like, I still don't have that. Yeah. He straight up lied. Okay. And we just caught him in a lie. Okay. So, yeah, he's the one that was playing mind games. It was a sad moment, Earl. Like, I come on my show, and I want to make this very clear. I do these streams because I like interacting with people, and I'm trying, like, if somebody corrects me with like some real scholarship and other things like that, I have no problem with that. I will change my mind and I will move on. But when somebody accuses me of something and then proceeds to play mind games with me, yeah, I'm kind of done. Okay. Like the Rabyd part, that everybody expects comes out then. And with Real Seeker and Habermas, I've kind of been that way, because it's like, be honest and just tell me where your criticism is coming from, because I would like to read it. Like, I might actually be saying, this criticism is invalid on a couple of points, but it just really, it angered me. Like, and he says, I've given up hope on the Rabyd Atheist. No, dude, I've kind of given up hope on Real Seeker. Okay. Because I don't, yeah. He's kind of taking a piss there. Yeah. I would agree with that, but yeah. Yes. Head games. Yeah. I think a lot of people, when they looked at the instance and they watched this video, I think there's a lot of comments about Dale that are not flattering in it. So, and a lot of people caught the lie. So, but yes, I want to make it abundantly clear at this point, I still don't have the 3 PhD scholars that were critical of Habermas's 3rd volume. I still don't have that. Okay, Real Seeker, nobody's given me that. They made that claim several times, and Paul caught out where that claim is, but they still haven't given me who they are. Maybe it's Alter, maybe it's Slade. I don't know.
Are really pushing back on you in a specific manner.
In this volume.
Yeah, in this volume.
Yeah. I even anticipated this kind of excuse. Obviously, I can't be certain there wasn't a group of PhD scholars who were independently spending a day poring over the declared faith of over 500 names in Gary's index, but his book came out on May 15th.
This came out, what, May?
May 15th.
And my video came out on May 27th, just 12 days later. I doubt anyone with actual credentials was also wasting their time on this. A 2021 paper can't be an objection to a May 2025 book. Now, somewhat coincidentally, Alter did an interview with History Valley on May 3rd, 2025. But that was still a few weeks before the book release, and Alter clearly refers to Volume 3 as a future event.
Okay, I want to stop there. I want to say something about Mr. Alter. When I reached out to him to get information about this, he responded to me in 4 hours. Like, he was very quick to respond. He was very respectful. I watched this whole video as well, and it's very well done. He said, well, it's kind of boring. I says, well, if you're into scholarly stuff, it's not all that boring. And I'm used to that because I'm used to reading dusty tomes that people don't want to read. But I want to give a commendation to Alter. Like, he was very respectful. He hasn't come after me, although I think Real Seeker tried to contact him and said I was up to shenanigans and Paul was up to shenanigans. So he's trying to poison the well with Mr. Alter against me. I don't have anything against Mr. Alter. Alter is actually Jewish. So he's not a Christian. Okay. So everybody needs to understand that. He's Jewish. I'm not sure how deep he is into belief in God, because you can be Jewish without being a person of God or a believer in God. So his criticism actually would fall into the skeptical camp if it actually appeared after Volume 3. Okay, but that's not the case. And he doesn't actually have a PhD, but he has several research master's degrees, and that's what he is. He's a researcher. So he said, and you'll see it if you can get up close, you can see that he's actually quoting Paul a little bit, Paul Entz. So
Volume 3, if I understand correctly, he is just going to be presenting about 200 or 300 of select arguments from his 4,500 references. So he's choosing which ones he wants.
do that.
So in this interview, which is the most recent public resurrection comment from Alter, can't be the Volume 3 critique. And Dr. Slade hasn't published anything on the topic since the 2021 paper. So once again,
I also have to say something about Slade. I had a deuced difficult time getting a hold of him. He is definitely a guy that values his privacy, but he has published works against Habermas, particularly the one paper. But yes, I tried to reach out to Mr. Slade and couldn't get a hold of him. So Seeker kind of gave me a name that was useless to me because I couldn't even get a hold of him. I can read his published works, but I couldn't get a hold of him. So
we're back to square one of my May 27 critique of Volume 3 being the only Volume 3 critique on offer at the time that Gary could possibly have been referencing. And while we're on the topic of Alter being a scholar worthy of Gary's consideration, and me not being worthy of the same consideration, here's a little snippet from Alter's concluding remarks in his recent resurrection lecture.
Noble quotes. These are 3 quotes I want to think about. Paul Inns, Paulogia, said the following recently, and Paulogia has a great website. He is a detractor and he is blind. By the way, he is a former hardcore believer, and he chucked it all after years and years of research. What's more important today is Gary has only his own intuition, selection bias, and confirmation bias to tell us what the vast majority of scholars think about group appearances or any appearances at all. For that matter, because he insists he's done no head count.
So for 2 videos in a row now, the scholars who Gary is willing to consider are referencing my work in their own work. I am flattered. But let's set refusal to cite sources aside for now and focus on the actual claim and the methodological validity of my fact-checking. In round 1, Gary bragged and was marketing his book as a resource that contains more non-Christians than Christians.
And there are probably more skeptics, atheists, agnostics, Christian writers, let's say Jewish New Testament scholars. There are probably more non-Christians than Christians in the book.
So we're talking individual scholars, more non-Christian scholars than Christian scholars. And later again,
I counted, by the way, I think there's close to 600 different authors in that book. These guys could be, and I counted them by name, and there's more atheists, agnostics, and other kinds of skeptics, or people who could be pretty conservative, but in a different religion. So they could be a conservative Jewish scholar who's not a Christian. So there could be a lot of, again, atheists, agnostics, skeptics, and non-Christian.
So he doubled down. Authors who are not a Christian versus authors who are a Christian. Gary says in this clip he counted them by name. So counting names was his methodology, which is the same methodology you heard me use in the clip earlier. In round 2, Gary didn't disagree with this methodology, or even my results.
Correct.
But from what I recall from my own count, about 1/3 of all the people in the book are evangelicals. About 2/3 are not evangelicals. So what I meant was, I have way more people who would not call themselves evangelicals.
You can see my last video for all the problems with the evangelical backtrack. But obviously,
Okay, but now Paul doesn't really, he does talk about the evangelical backtrack, but I'm going to talk about it a little bit harder here. And I'm going to make myself bigger so the people in the back of the room can hear. This was a complete change, and it's a complete category change. There's a great deal of difference between somebody who is a Christian versus a non-Christian versus an evangelical versus everybody else. That is a complete category shift, okay? And it's dishonest, okay? Like, I am sorry. I'm going to still say that was very dishonest of Gary to do, because, and then he gets weak sauced with his definition of what the hell an evangelical is. There's a difference, because the one is, I believe the faith versus I don't believe the faith. And then there's the evangelical versus everybody else, which is a category of a completely different category, because it's basically going, hey man, I was talking about the real evangelical Christians versus everybody else. And then he won't define what he means by evangelical. He gives a very weak sauce. So yeah, I mean, if he had done that, I wouldn't have had as big a problem. He said, you know what? I misspoke myself. Really, there's a lot of Christians in this, and but that's not a selling point. Because what happens is, in everybody's mind, they go, well, yeah, of course they believe in the resurrection. They're Christians. The selling point is you have a bunch of non-Christians that are still saying that the claims of Christianity are true. That's the selling point of the entire series of his magnum opus. Okay, like that's what he's been chiding all this time. And he gets to number 3. yeah, it's from the tiny pieces of paper. Very valid point, Earl. But yes, yeah. So, but I don't, this was something that bothered me when he did it. Like, dude, you do realize those are 2 different categories of people. And yeah, but yeah, we'll let Paul continue.
Obviously didn't carry the day in Gary's circles, because in round 3, Gary decided that the whole methodology of counting human voices isn't what he meant after all, despite claiming doing his own name count during round 2.
Yeah, some skeptics have mentioned they just go by, a kind of a lazy, quick scan of the author index, and they say, oh, well, there's 443.
It's not lazy and quick when that's what your claim is. Okay, this is where I got to go against Real Seeker again. That's not lazy. Okay, you don't spend 10 days looking at names and looking. It's not about counting the names. It's about looking at what they believed. Okay, you're looking at the claim specifically. That's good research there, Real Seeker. That's good research, Dale. Okay, you're trying to poison the well again about Paul's research. And no, your claim is there are more non-Christians than Christians. Well, let's look that up. That's an easy stat thing to develop and put up a pie chart about. And it turns out that that wasn't true. And when you do the evangelical thing versus non-evangelical thing, well, that's just a completely different category. So yeah, it's don't, no, it's not lazy. It's looking at what your claim was and coming up with a way to statistically verify that claim or disverify it. It's not lazy at all. Take a stats class, okay? Take a statistics class. I've taken 3 of them, or 2 of them, maybe 2 of them. But for my economics minor, I had to take a couple statistics classes, okay? So I'm not trying to be rude here, but I don't find Paul's methodology and checking your fact to be faulty, okay? It just isn't. Okay.
Christians, out of 558 authors in the index.
Easy, you call that easy?
I think we have different numbers here. I think by 558, you're probably talking individual scholars.
Right.
But what if one of these scholars has 10 sources, another one has 15? You started with how many actual scholars? Dale, I don't know the answer to that. I've never.
Okay. All right. First of all, the fact that he once again mints he doesn't know the answer to that is a little bit troubling, because your claim since the beginning has been 90% of scholars. If you don't know their names and their religious affiliation, how are you making that initial claim in the first place? Okay, now you've really caused a problem for your own research at this point. So I'm not trying to be rude, but it's like, so what? So just for those of you keeping track, we had the Christian versus non-Christian claim. Then we had the evangelical versus the non-evangelical claim, which I don't think went well with non-evangelical Christians saying, and what are you talking about? What do you mean? And so then he created like this internal feud inside of Christianity. So he backs off that one. And now he's presenting, well, what about the cited sources? I might cite somebody 10 times and another person 3 times. And so what about that? So, okay, we can fact check that too, by the way, Gary, just so you know.
Checked. I don't know how many scholars. Maybe and you could say, well, what'd you say, 5 what? I've not counted.
558 is what some people have counted.
I couldn't have told you that, but that's individual people. I don't know how many.
Fair enough.
How many separate authors? I'm only talking about how many publications. Everybody thinks I'm the stat counter. I don't actually count that many. I estimate.
Yes, we are increasingly coming to believe you when you say that you just estimated numbers based on vibes rather than actually counting.
Yes,
I think that's fair.
beginning to believe that as well.
Not by just counting heads. That's kind of to me, superficial, because that doesn't, if Crossan, I'm just making something up. If Crossan is cited 50.
What? Counting is superficial? Getting actual data is superficial instead of vibes and intuition? What is your mentality there, Gary? I have to ask. Getting real facts is somehow superficial, but holding to your intuition and your feelings and your vibes about it is not? I got to go on. I got to go on.
52 times. And my favorite evangelical is cited 15 times. I think that gives the upper hand to the non-evangelical. Oh, no. What are they going to do? Say, no, that's 1 point for each. That's just a silly comment.
Yeah.
First guy gets 52 comments and the second one gets 15.
To be clear, the original claim and all the subsequent double downs were about individuals. How many scholars? How many humans? These were your claims, Gary. The only reason anyone is talking about the count is because you've been advertising the count.
Correct. This is why we were talking about it, because you're the one that kept bringing it up. Okay. So we went and did some research Paul went and did some research to verify the count. And I have no reason to doubt him because it's easily fact checked. Like Paul put out his research. Hey, go look for it for yourself. And maybe like those 79 we don't know, maybe you do know, and we can add those numbers in. Like further research, we might be able, yeah, vibe science. Yeah, it's like, Michael, this was so puzzling to me when Gary said that. It's like, we're doing an actual number data count, and that's superficial, but you're okay with your vibes and intuition as not being superficial. Talk about arrogance. Talk about hubris. Okay, like at count one count, yes. Oh my gosh. Yeah.
You'd have said nothing, no one would care. Few people actively quantify the proportion of food bits in their box of Lucky Charms. People know they get what they get. But if for some reason the fine folks down at General Mills started advertising a guarantee that there would be more marshmallows than oat pieces, well then customers are gonna start counting. That would be a self-inflicted wound. Gary has backtracked from mostly non-Christian scholars, which is an assertion about a number of people, down to mostly non-evangelical scholars, which is still an assertion about the number of people, now down to counting scholars is superficial and no one should do it. I feel like this change of topics is a concession that he is wrong about individual scholars, and I can leave it at that. What's the better way to do it now, Gary?
Because I've heard that from other people besides you, I went back and did a head count.
Okay. I want to stop there. I've heard that from other people besides you. That's telling me now. I've been in academia. I'm an observer of academia. I've watched things happen. I've been a teacher. I know what that is. That's somebody like Lacona, his friend, coming up to him and say, "Hey, Gary, you got to deal with this, okay? Because it's really kicking your ass." Like you got people here on campus of Liberty looking at you and saying, "What vibes? What the hell does that have to do with research?" Like you are undermining not just the credibility of Gary Habermas, but you work at a certain institution and your credibility is on the line, and it's the institution's credibility too. And I'm sorry, I think that Gary is starting to get, and probably still get, some criticism from his own believing crew. Because a lot of the believers, if I was still a pastor and a minister and I heard this claim of more of them are non-Christian, I know what that means. And if somebody comes out with a count that says, "No, sorry, Gary, 79% of these people that you're citing are Christian," you're the one that brought it up. So now he's like, okay, what? So you have that. So I don't get, at this point, I'm now starting to feel like the criticism isn't just coming from Paul. It's not coming from just me or all the other critics that have been critical of Habermas. The criticism is starting to be in-house. And this is why he's had to shuffle to this method. So he ran out of bits of paper. That's not his fault. Oh, that's great. But yes. So I do believe this. He's doing a PR stunt. He's in full damage control, because now it's not just me and Paul and other critics coming against him. It's people of his own team are going, "Now, wait a minute, Gary, you really needed to make this third volume your actual data that proves your main claim about minimal facts. You needed to take this seriously, and you didn't." And now he's in trouble. And I don't know what the publisher is doing, but the publisher is looking at this and going, "Okay, I got another volume for this guy to publish. Am I going to publish that volume? Will I make money? Is this going to be an incomplete magnum opus?" Like, you have to ask some questions here. And I think it is really about the money. We got to follow the money. The publisher's got to be asking themselves a question. I've been offering these things on sale for half to get the sales back up. And I've been doing this for like 2 months now. Is it ever going to recover? Okay. So yes, I've got to ask that question. So there we go.
If you can imagine, I don't know which one I did. I don't know if I did volume 1. No, sorry. This volume 3. I counted volume 3. And it was almost, the percentage points, I didn't convert the numbers to percentages, but of everybody who cited, about 3/4 of the citations were to non-evangelicals, and about 1/4 evangelicals. That's 3-1. I repeat, I actually went through and counted the names. And every so often I stopped. I did little stick figures so I wouldn't forget where I was.
And you did this for every chapter in the book, right?
I went through the entire book. 3-1, not evangelicals. So
okay, so now we're going back to the non-evangelical claims. Okay, I want to see which ones you considered evangelical and non-evangelical, and I want you to post the names, Gary, and see how the fallout of that comes out. I really do. Like, because I know if I was a scholar and I felt that I was indeed an evangelical, and Gary Habermas says that I'm not an evangelical because of some opinion he has, then I'm going to go all out on that. Like, I'm going to go all out on that and go, wait a minute. Paul, I think, is going to be a little bit nice in this video. I don't know if we'll get that tonight or tomorrow or next week, but to Gary about this evangelicalism. I'm not going to be nice to him because evangelical is such a nebulous definition the way Habermas does it. Like, he's not. You should be absolutely rolling on the floor, Earl, the fact that he used little stick figures. I heard that and I'm like, are you kidding me? So there you go. Oh, I think Senator Fred finally did it. I think he might have, and it is the Holy Bunny hat by 58%. Some of you tried to rally some of the other ones, but there we go. I'll put on the hat for the rest of the stream. It makes me look ridiculous, but I think my comments still, I don't look as ridiculous as Gary at this point, so I'm good. He has no media training, you can tell too. He really, when, you know what he needed to do with this book series? He needed to hand off the publicist PR side to somebody else and not do anything unless they asked him to. If he would have done that, he'd have been fine. But yes, let's see. The claim Mary made consistently, that claim was clearly in error. He refuses to admit this error. This is arrogant dishonesty. Yes, correct. So it's like, but yes, the stick figures. I heard that and laughed my ass off too. But yes, my problem with that is like the definition of evangelical. What's your definition of evangelical? Okay, like it's a nebulous. I took a class in seminary back in the 90s that was called evangelical theology. And we had a certain definition that we went by, but we openly acknowledged that the definition of evangelical is a little bit fuzzy. Okay, like, what do you mean? Some people consider themselves evangelical simply because they preach the gospel. Well, every church considers themselves to preaching the gospel of Jesus. And so this didn't help him. I don't look ridiculous. Okay, go. Do I look as ridiculous as Habermas? Or is he still more ridiculous? So yes, but yes, I don't. So, okay, fine. So to you, you went through volume 3 and you put little stick figures by it about whether they were evangelicals or not. What was your definition of evangelical? I look rabbit-licious. Okay, which is perfect. Okay, fair enough. Scarlet method of a biased order. Oh my goodness, yes. All right, well, let's see what else they're going to say, because it might be
I
even
think
funnier.
what I've said is true. Nobody has to believe me, but that's the way I did it.
It's interesting that you say no one has to believe you, because it does ring as suspicious. You don't remember which book you used, despite going over every page. You counted the names, but you don't remember the count. You didn't convert the numbers to a percentage, but you're sure it was 3-1, which is quite easy to convert to 75%. You used a visual of stick figures, but there's no photograph of the work in progress. And I'm guessing that once again, that this count will not be presented or published for anyone to check. But fine, let's try.
Yes, all of those objections, all of them, plus my own, that is absolutely shows Habermas's lack of an understanding of research methodology when producing numbers. Like, he needed to take a stats class. He needed to do something to remind himself about how you do numbers, because that's not the way you do it. Okay. Paul, in his basic count of Christian versus non-Christian, did better methodological work than Gary just admitted to. I'm just going to say it. Okay. It's piss poor. Like, that is just, The stick figures. I don't know. Do we have a stick figure emoji? We're gonna. I don't know. Earl, you might want to do a stick figure emoji of, I don't know. Maybe Fangs can be chasing Habermas or something. Maybe do a picture of James seeing Habermas, or Habermas is a stick figure and counting stick figures. I don't know. Oh my goodness, what a great picture that would be.
Try to recreate this. You may not have realized this, Gary, but your author index actually has a list of citations for each scholar, which a person can count. I came up with a total count of 5,882 author references. This seems reasonable since Gary himself, in this very interview, estimates between 5,000 and 6,000 such references.
5,000 is probably fair, but if somebody knew an objective number, they could say, oh no, it's 5,759. Oh, well, thank you. I didn't know that. But I would take it up to 6,000.
So we're in the ballpark. And to Gary's earlier point, we can see that agnostic scholar Bart Ehrman is referenced 101 times, where Mennonite Philip Weeb is referenced only twice. Recall that when I was counting Christian versus non-Christian scholars in round 1, we found that 79% of the authors were Christians. So I plugged in the number of references per scholar, and guess what? Out of the 5,882 references, 4,805 were from self-proclaimed Christians, or 81%. That's...
I want to take a moment to appreciate what just happened there. Mr. Habermas himself changes the methodology to cited sources instead of just name count. And it got worse. I want you to appreciate the moment here. It got 2% worse. Okay. Okay. He changed the methodology as a way of defending himself. Now, what this tells me is he's sticking to the evangelical thing, okay, which Paul's going to deal with in a minute. But I want you to understand something, that he cited these Christians slightly more than he cited the non-Christians. That's a fact, okay? I'm not trying to be rude, but it got worse. I literally at this point, when I first watched this video, I stopped the video at this point and sat back in awe at how you can set yourself up to be fact-checked again, and it got worse. It got 2% worse for his case, that there are way more Christian references, and this shouldn't be surprising. I want to give if you read Alter and Slade's paper, I got to give a shout out to them, because they did books on the resurrection going back 500 years, okay, and counted who wrote this, what was their vocation, like they did a total research. So there's a lot of numbers there. And what it comes out to is, 80 to 90% of people that write about the resurrection are Christians. This should not have been surprising. And if Habermas was aware of that research, he should never have made the claim in the first place, because he should have known better. Okay. Yes, the bias is strong with this one. Yes.
That's right. The numbers got slightly worse for Gary when considering the references. Bad news for Gary, because no resurrection skeptic is in the business of trying to tell self-proclaimed Christians that they're not Christians. But Gary is, for reasons I can't fathom. His definition of an evangelical during round 2 was far too vague to use as a scientific criteria. So maybe in round 3, he'll give me something I can work with.
So it's not how many names are in the book. There might be more evangelicals than non-evangelicals, but I counted them here, and there were 3 times as many people who don't want to be called evangelicals. As far as I know, and I know a good deal of them personally, I don't think they would want to be, but that's my judgment on who they were.
I see. So the criteria is, if someone called the scholar an evangelical, would they like it? Well, I'm afraid I don't know many of them personally, and many have passed, so that entirely subjective criteria is unavailable to me. Now, it so happens that when counting during round 1, I captured the scholar's denomination if it was readily available in the search. I attempted to classify the denominations as evangelical or non-evangelical, but the available information for many scholars was entirely underdeterminate for me to be comfortable. So I made...
Okay, I got to stop and emphasize that point. Paul is facing a problem here because a lot of churches and denominations don't necessarily classify themselves based on evangelicalism. Okay. They don't necessarily do that. Okay. So what we're saying here, I want to make this one clear, that Paul is running into the same problem I would, or Habermas would, or anybody for that matter, in classifying somebody evangelical. One, the definition is kind of sketchy. And two, you can move it around, is what I'm saying. And two, not all of these denominations are necessarily going to talk about evangelicalism. And so you're going to have to get to their doctrine. What do they mean by preaching the gospel to the world or whatever? And so I don't know. Yeah, he broke a little bit there too. He when he saw the 81 number, he kind of laughed too, and he's having the same chuckle I'm at. It got worse, Gary. This didn't help you. So I think he's going to probably eventually blame his assistant. He had a research assistant, but all the guy did was gather the names and the cited sources. He didn't do anything else. And that's a clear mistake on his part. He should have done, his assistant should have done damage control for himself by counting stuff up so that he would have something there. So, but yes, like Paul is simply citing here a problem with talking about evangelicals in the first place, because a lot of them don't even want that. They don't even want to talk about it. So denominational methodology is very interesting at that point. So I don't get it. So there you have
categories for evangelical: yes, no, and maybe. Unlike Gary, I'll put a link to my counting spreadsheet in the description for your critique. So, based on number of citations, here's what I got: 21% yes, 26% maybe, and 53% no. The good news for Gary is that if he'd stuck to his simple majority claim, he'd have been vindicated. At most, 47% of the references are evangelical. So I'm comfortable saying it's very slightly mostly non-evangelical. However, with his new boast of 3-to-1 non-evangelical, he needs pretty much no one in the maybe category to count as evangelical.
Okay, I want to emphasize Paul's point there. Paul is correct. In order for Habermas to be correct about this, about the evangelical claim, he needs almost everybody in that maybe evangelical category to be non-evangelical. Now, if you're a good statistician, you're going to say 50-50 to be safe, okay? Because you'd have a lack of information. So I don't know at this point. Paul is being charitable to Gary. I'm not going to be. Because if he's going to make that distinction of evangelical versus non-evangelical, he needs to give me a definition of what those two things mean. He needs to tell me where he's getting that data from. He needs to show me that data by telling me which name is evangelical, which source is evangelical or not. He doesn't do any of that. He keeps it in this nebulous realm of just trust my intuition, just trust me, bro. And I'm going like, citation, please. Okay, I want to see your cited work. I want to see your, and once again, he's like, I didn't really count, but yeah, then I did count, and I had these tiny pieces of paper. It's like, dude. Yeah, he's being trained in the art of not researching anything. He can. He's an evangelical. See, the Habermas is a professor at a university, and the guy that was his assistant, I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but he was working on his PhD himself in something, and he was doing this research because Habermas wouldn't have had a volume 3 if Lycona hadn't asked, you need to put that in as a volume 3. And so he went to his publisher, asked him about it, and said, yes. Yeah, it's a trust me, bro thing. Yeah, trust me, bro. And Paul's being very charitable to Habermas here. I'm not going to be that charitable. First of all, this may tell you, and this is a problem I have with Paul's research, I know, but he's right. This is the best thing he could have done to figure out if somebody was evangelical or not based on what denomination they belong to, right? But that doesn't mean that the individual who might be part of a non-evangelical denomination might not be evangelical in thought or theology. See, that's the thing that you've got to ask yourself. Okay, it's possible, like Paul is doing it based on what denomination and religion they belong to. or not, or lack thereof. But what about the individual? We've been talking about individuals all this time, not knowing what each individual says. We're basically saying we're trusting Gary Habermas's intuition and whatever criteria he's using to decide whether somebody's evangelical or non-evangelical. And then he doesn't put out the results of how he came to that conclusion. He just gives us the final data work and then doesn't give us anything to back it up. And so Paul is doing something here. It's the only option he really had. And so I credit him for at least trying. But just because a person belongs to an evangelical organization, it might be that they don't agree with that part of that organization. And so they personally aren't evangelical. It's also quite possibly that a lot of these maybes were, well, sometimes I'm evangelical, sometimes I'm not. And the non-evangelical denomination people might say, well, yeah, but I disagree with my denomination. I think we need to be more evangelical. So we've switched our data point from individuals to kind of classify people according to the group that they belong to. And I don't know if that's going to breed some accuracy about whether or not these scholars were evangelical or not. And I still don't know what Habermas's criteria was. And so I'm left kind of holding a sack here of looking for information. It's still empty. Okay, I got a lot of things. So yeah, it's how long is the piece of string? Yes, that's kind of what I'm dealing with. And I get Paul's trouble here because I'm not bashing on Paul so much as I'm trying to get everybody to realize the difficulty of doing this kind of research with a little bit of information. And it's hard because I don't know what the individual person wants to do. Okay. So, yeah, so there's that. Like the individual in a non-evangelical denomination that's cited might actually be personally evangelical. So it's like, or vice versa, or, whatever. And so I just want everybody to be clear there that this is a difficult thing that Paul tried to do. And I think he even recognizes, and I recognize that it's kind of incomplete. Like there's some fuzziness with this research. And he's right, though. If Habermas had stuck with the evangelical versus non-evangelical count and had done that since the beginning, then he wouldn't have maybe necessarily had a problem. But then I still want to know what his research is determining who's an evangelical and non-evangelical. So yes. Yeah. Oh yeah. It's the tiny pieces of paper. Trust me. Yes, I get it.
Seems pretty implausible to me, but statistically possible. You know what? I'm just going to let Gary have this one. He can say that the references are 3-to-1 non-evangelical if he wants. At the end,
he can say that, and Paul's being generous. I'm not going to be that generous. I'm going to be the rabid atheist on that. I want citations on that. I want to see Habermas's research method. I want to see how he determined who somebody was an evangelical and who wasn't. I want to see all that stuff. I'm going to be the guy with the Master of Arts in Theological Studies. That's a research-based degree, a PhD prep degree that I've never bothered to get a PhD with. But I know what good research is, thankfully, and I've studied it since getting my poli-sci degree. And if you're not going to tell me how you got to that number, yeah, I got a problem. So there you go.
End of the day, it's 81% Christian. Evangelical versus non-evangelical is a distinction without a difference in a resurrection debate. At the end of the day, this is a marketing statistic for a reference book, and actually just one big distraction from the actual reason anyone should be interested in Gary's books. His Minimal Facts Case for the Resurrection, and the reality that Volume 3 does nothing at all to help it, and is a...
Correct. This is the point that Paul's making. I'm going to make this point. Your 90% of scholars back up each fact. Volume 3 did nothing to prove that. Zero. Nothing. Okay. And that's why I think Lacona wanted it published, because he thought that that's what Habermas was going to do. Finally publish this data that he's had all these years that allows him to make the 90% claim. The 90% claim that these minimal facts are backed up by these scholars has been half of the minimal facts claim since day one. And he has still yet to prove it. He just expects everybody to just accept it. So Yeah, he knows, and he might have gotten guidance, but I'm going to say this, Cranky. I don't know what better you could have done than Paul did. Like, you don't know, like, getting into somebody's evangelical flavor of their version of Christianity gets a little bit more difficult than just finding out what their stated denomination or faith is self-reported. Like, it gets a little bit like you have to go up and you have to know what you have. First of all, you have to have a decent definition of evangelical, and you have to go up to each one of these guys and say, do you consider yourself like an evangelical? And based on this definition, and nobody's done that survey data that I know of. Okay. I mean, you could kind of sort of find out, but I don't know. I appreciate Paul trying. Okay. But I absolutely understand that he's trying. Okay. Because, and there's reasons that he's trying that are outside of his control. So yeah, it's just bad. I know what it isn't. Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes. Middle facts off. Susan, I don't know. You mentioned Wes Hoff. Yeah, he does. He does some of the same things. But yes, I just want to make sure everybody understands, though, at the end of the day, regardless of Habermas's excuses about this, his methodology or whatever, he still has not, like, he still hasn't done the thing that he needed to do. Okay. And I think that's kind of the important part, okay, that I want to get to. And I'm going to stop here because I think, let's see, let me get the time stamp. This is about 28:45. So, and I'll finish the rest next week. But I want to stop here because I want you to understand, despite all this controversy, despite all the stuff, the one thing that is absolutely for sure is this third volume did nothing to help minimal facts. It did nothing to do it. Because he still hasn't given us the data. Okay, which scholars support fact number one? Oh, 90% of the scholars, you have the data that they support fact number one. You have the data that 90% of these scholars support fact number two. That doesn't exist. It still doesn't exist. And it's one of the criticisms, not of just critics who are atheists like myself, but it's critics of people in apologetics who, if you want to call them, are more honest about their apologetics, and they're more trying to, it would have been the criticism that I gave when I was still a Christian. Like, where's your numbers? Where is the scholar percentage, and how did you get to that scholarly percentage? How did that happen? Okay. How's fact number three supported up by 90% of scholars? How's fact number four supported by 90% of the scholars? And who are they scholars? Do they have a bias? Okay, this is the thing that Alter and Slade brought up 4 years ago. Like, there's so many objections to this methodology of scholarly consensus. It's like the last thing that you really want to do. And what Paul is making here is this final point on where I'm going to stop here, and I think is an important point to make, is Habermas's third volume has done nothing to change that. He has still left every person in the dark, including people on his own team, the Christians and the apologists, as to where he's getting this 90% number. 90% of scholars agree with this. Okay, that's a number. How did you get that number? Show me the math where you got that number. Okay, don't give me scholarly intuition, because that's not accepted in the scholarly community. Don't give me, I just have feelings and vibes. Give me the statistical research that proves that point, because that's half your stuff. Okay. And I think we'll get into that with the rest of Paul's video next week, but I want to stop here for the sake of time. It's like, you've got to give me that, because so far the only thing that minimal facts has really lived up to is the other half, which is we're looking at sources, multiple sources, not just in one source, which gets really comical when he tries to talk about Paul. Okay. Some of the facts, I question their factual basis based on a lot of language and things, just like Paul does. But that part of multiple sources, attested to in multiple sources of antiquity, okay, fine, whatever. But you've done nothing, zero, about the 90% claim of scholarly consensus. Okay, you've done zero. Okay, it hasn't done a thing. Okay, and that's what you need to know. Yes, Christians believe the resurrection happened. More at 8 o'clock news. Yes. They don't have them, Fred, and that's my problem. And if I was a Christian, okay, I'd be saying, hey, Gary, you need to prove that claim. Because if you don't prove that claim, then everything about minimal facts stands in the air. It's a foundational claim, okay? And you need to prove it. So that, yes, 8 out of 10 people already believe in God and Jesus. So how can it be objective? Exactly. And that's what they're trying to avoid. That's what Habermas has been trying to avoid since he started marketing this thing, is that this is mostly non-Christians, non-evangelicals that agree with these facts. And it's like he's changed the definitions back and forth. So yeah, I don't get it. All right. Let's see. I do believe Earl has sent me some stuff. So we will end this with a Fangs piece of art that Earl just did for me. So we have Earl art. So I'm going to pull Paul off of here and remember the 2845 time date stamp, and we'll finish this out next week because there's a lot of other things that we can say. So we're going to remove Paul here. And let's see if I can get some Earl, or more affectionately known to many of you as Mom. Let's get Mom's art up here. Yeah, she did this on the fly, but I think it's hilarious. Lives. Say his name, Gary. I'm deceased. Oh my goodness, Earl, as always. I mean, I know, like we pull up, Fangs has got like stock stuff, but the stick figures, and there you go. Oh my gosh, this is brilliant. Oh my goodness, yes. Oh my goodness, yes. There we go. Yeah, stats don't matter to Gary. Yes, he doesn't. But I want to thank Earl. This is beautiful. This is absolutely. I'm with Evan. I love this one for doing it on the fly. See, this is the advantage of Earl doing like digital art. Like she could pull up assets she's worked on before, put them in the middle, and then just add stuff around the edges and things like that. So yes, Fangs will be pleased. Fangs is pleased with the art. But yes, this is the advantage of that. And this is, like she did this during the show. So I find, Earl, I continue to find that part amazing about you as an artist, is that you can do these things so quickly. And I would be lost. So we got Michael Wolf doing that. And yeah, see. Yes, what a mind. Yes, she's super mom. Yep. So, but yes, I love this one. As is tradition, when I do Paulogia and Habermas, I've got to add this one to the stage as well. This is another Earl. Oh, you've made Adobe your bitch. Okay, there you go. But this is another piece of Earl's artwork with Habermas and his evidence. People have accused me of trolling Habermas, and I'm like, yes, your point. The excuses, the backpedaling, the redefining, the all that other stuff. Yeah, I'm kind of done with it. So, but yes, like it's like, dude, I'm now at the point where I think Habermas doesn't know how to do good research, and that's sad for somebody with a PhD. I'm just going to say it. He could do with like a statistics class and a couple math classes at the bachelor's. So there you go. But yes. Oh my goodness. Yes, and okay, there we go. Yes, this is Gary the Hut. What was it? Paul said Jabbermass should be the name when I sent it to him. So yes, Paul Entz has these artworks. He hasn't used them, and I get it, because Paul's like, He likes to take the higher road, not necessarily over. Although I think sometimes in this video, we saw it a couple times, like when he presented the statistic that it made it worse, you could hear the chuckle in his voice, and I don't think he could get rid of it. And at the very beginning, memory, little bits of pieces of paper, categories and more paper, and and good memory. Yes, Jabbermas the Hutt. There you go. But at this point, yeah, I'm going to troll him because your research methods are horrible. Your continued excuses trying to save your book so you can make money at the end of your life here and retire are pathetic. Okay. And I think your lack of providing for the 90% claim the entire time Middle Facts has been out there, I would say those deserve some trolling responses at this point. Like, when are you going to do that? So, yeah, he's a little snarky. Like he has that nice Canadian snark to him. Canadians have really good. Oh, it's your particular. Okay, there you go. There you go. Scratcher Mass, yes. Haberwalkie, yeah, that's the other one. So at this point, I'm kind of, Paulogia takes the high road a little bit more than I would on this issue, because I got accused of a lot of things that weren't true. I was immediately categorized because I was an atheist, which is something, as you guys know, I'm trying to normalize atheism and deconversion using this channel. Like, we exist. We have a right to not be called out simply because we belong to a group. It's like and there was a lot of that on display when I was doing this. And I also want to thank Paul again for putting me in his video several times. And I was the guy that finally pried a couple names out. So he wanted to make sure that everybody knew that I was the one who got those. But that was still not helpful. And so, yes, I'm, this guy, Real Seeker, lies to me and sends me on a real goose chase about this. And then he wants to accuse me of engaging in psychological tricks. And it's like, yeah, so at this point, if you're a friend of Habermas, you're not doing Habermas any credit by being his friend. So, yes, I exist. What nonsense is this? Yes. But go back to this. This is so beautiful. I may send this one to Paul, Earl. I think he would appreciate this one. I think he would. I would send it to him. So, hey, Moondog. Everyone, Hollywood kisses Earl. There we go, Travis Neville. Okay, all right. But yes, this is a bit of Earl's artwork on the fly, and I have to say, well done. I will tell you what he does. I'm gonna send it to him, because I think, like, your response to what Habermas said is encapsulated in this. So I think this is beautiful. So there's that. Yeah, that we'll let you curtsy. I'll let you curtsy. I saw Azho earlier. I don't know if I acknowledged him, but he was here earlier. When Azho curtsies, it's awkward. When you do it, it's with grace, and all that. So the true grace of a Southern belle. And so there you go. She wants her song back. Okay. Oh my goodness. Yeah, it's yeah. Yeah, but I'm still kind of upset about that. Like, I was just being my scholarly self, trying to be serious about what Habermas was doing, with his stats and checking. And I'm like, well, who are the three scholars? And I still don't have them. I don't think they exist. Okay. And I'm like, it's like, you could have cleared all that up by just giving me names and they would exist. And, and I could look them up, and that's all I wanted to do. And instead, no, I'm playing psychological tricks, doing reverse psychology. I'm being dishonest. And it's like, dude, are you reading yourself? So, and I'm glad Paul put that stuff up there too. So it was nice. Yes, Earl curtsies like a true Southern belle. Just trust me on that. Yeah, no, grace is not overrated. I don't have any of it, and I know the value of it when I watch it at other people. Trust me, I'm just like you. You love snarky songs? Yes. Yes, but there's a lot of snarky. There was a lot of snark in Paul tonight. You love this art? You do? All right. Well, this is Earl's. Earl does good art. Like she's got this, like, let's see, I got a couple of them queued up. But yes, the carrot emoji that's brand new, along with the popcorn. I don't have the popcorn one out here. What is wrong with me? Yes, but the carrot, and then we also have the popcorn emoji. Definitely her work. She is also, there are two different versions of Fangs that I thought we should maybe discuss at the end of the show for those of you who are interested. But back when we were deciding how Fangs should look for our book, she sent me this one, which some of you might recognize. The top part is the grumpy emoji. And then she sent me this one, and I decided to go with this one. So, but yes. But so there are actually two different versions of Fangs, and both of them are completely valid in Fangsology. And I will say that with a hat on, because Fangs can appear as any black rabbit with red eyes and fangs. So yes, potato, potato. Yeah, it's like, but I love this one because it's so cute. And then when you put it with this, oh, the beard, definitely the beard. Yes. Oh my gosh. But yes. To Jabba is an insult to Jabba the Hutt himself. Okay, there we go. All right, fair enough. But yes, I'm sorry. I think Habermas deserves it at this point. He's been running this 90% of scholars' claims since he started Minimal Facts, and he's never bothered to prove it. And so, yes, I think at this point he needs to be trolled. Okay. As a scholar with scholarly creds in his name, but not doing scholarly work. Okay, if you're going to make that kind of claim somewhere in your resurrection book, you need to prove that. So, oh yeah, I'm sure there is. We encourage, Rimmer, you remember, we encourage theological schisms. We encourage ecclesiastical schisms. Like I already created one by changing the name from Church of Fangs to Fluffle of Fangs. There are people that object to that. So, so yeah, she uses them both. Like I use them both. But yes, I love the cute Fangs because he has that Alfred E. Newman look on his face of what me worry kind of thing from the Mad magazine. I love that look. And so, and because of the raised eyebrow, I just love that stuff. Yes, the grumpy Fangs comes from this one. That's the grumpy Fangs. She just took the head off of it. And yes, fluffers are fine. Damn the anti-fluffers. Because that's what it is. See, I encourage this because, as always, as I point out to people that don't know what's going on with Fangs and everything, I use Fangs and everything associated with it. The making up of theology on the spot, Earl making up, Fangs lore through pictures on the spot tonight. That's all part of it. Like I use it to illustrate the absurdity of religion by being absurd with my own religion. So, so there's that. Yes, flufflegoers. Yes, it's the Orthodox Church of Fluffle. Yes. The Orthodox Church of Fangs, or it's now the Orthodox Fluffle of Fangs. And then there's the new Church of Fangs and the new Fluffle of Fangs. So I'm fairly certain we have at least 25, 30 denominations, although I haven't counted them. I've done the same count level as Gary Habermas on that. So take it for what it's worth. Yes, but don't you think, Elizabeth, that he has a little bit of that look to his face? Doesn't he have a little bit of that look? What me worry? Like Like there's that, he's not smiling, but the eyes, like the eyes and the eyebrows, heretical fluffitarian. Oh my gosh. Fangs is a chaos god. He loves having endless denominations about only thing they have in common. That is so true. Absolutely so true. Oh my goodness. See, this is why I leave this stuff to you. See, I know Earl and I both get most of our inspiration from chat. So that tells you how the book's going. trying to get all this great stuff into one thing. So yeah, we have 27 denominations in this chat alone because there's 27 people present. Oh yeah, but yes, this is a true statement. Like Fangs is a chaos god. He is definitely a chaos god. He likes causing trouble. So that's why you have to leave the holy carrot on your stash, otherwise he'll take it and give it to somebody else. So just like the detective, yeah. J. Warner Wallace did that to himself. Yeah, there's Low-Bar Bill did that to himself when he said, I lower the epistemological bar. Yeah, it's like these guys killed themselves. And I think Habermas killed himself when he published this third volume, not realizing that this was a highly anticipated volume. Like we were looking for the actual research that proved the 90% claim that it's been there since the very beginning. All it was is Gary Habermas. I think 90% of people do believe this, and they're scholars. Yeah. And he has still never bothered to prove that. Okay, so you get lyrics from chat sometime. That's fair. Okay. Yeah. Yes. Oh, I'm not going to do it tonight, but next week, if you have I'm not trying to upstage Earl because I don't think anybody can upstage Earl. If there are those of you that have fan art or fan ideas, send them to my email here in the channel, and I will look through and pick out some of the best of them, and I will feature them next time at the end of the show. I'm going to start doing that. I can't do a whole bunch of them, but if you have some ideas, I will pick the ones that make me laugh the most. So keep that in mind. So, so there you go. Not quite yet. But I see it, Elizabeth, you do see the potential here of having so many denominations. It's ridiculous, right? So, yeah, JC has done it. We don't claim those hookers as part of the family. Okay. So just chaos. As soon as someone said tiny bits of paper needed to be a meme, I was like, fuck yeah, I'm on it. Yeah, that's what we got. Oh, yes. In the beginning, there was a 90% claim. That's what he started with. If you go back to early Habermas stuff, it's that's what he starts with. He says the way I'm going about minimal facts is it has to be mentioned in more than one source of antiquity. Now, the problem is, of course, he counts each gospel as a singular source, which is, in a sense, fair. Okay. And then and 90% of scholars agree with these minimal facts. And then he goes into how these minimal facts prove the resurrection, what they don't. I have a final definitive video, hopefully coming very soon about this, but the more I deal with this, the more things I feel need to be said. And then I have to figure out how to get out of it. So, but it's there's a reason why the minimal facts thing is under fire, because he hasn't proven the second part of his major claim. So his foundational claim. So you're a deep subject because you're sick. Oh, I'm sorry that you're sick. I don't know. You can downstage Earl if you want. See, Earl has good art, Evan, and she also curtsies, and she does it with grace. So she will always be on the stage. So there you go. Yes, Earl did the meme. Nominations. He'd tell it nearly as good looking. I am Bird Tang, Fart Davis, composer. There you go. Yes, you do. All right. Yes, we have much more potential to have even more denominations. So I think this is where this is going. Yeah, he has like a denomination per believer. We're at least honest about that, Michael. Let's be fair. We're honest about the fact that every person has a different belief system. So yes. Well, scholars and volume. Nothing. The minimal facts is they're mostly Christians. There's about 21% of them that are confirmed part of evangelical denominations, but the rest of it is kind of fuzzy. When you switch from individual names to citing sources, you get it worse. It's 81% cited Christian sources, only 19 non. So that's kind of the facts so far, but that's the minimal facts about Volume 3. There's a claim that 3 scholars at a PhD level were critical of Volume 3, but I've never been shown their names and still haven't. So, yeah, so there's that. Oh, yeah, you said something, Fred. Oh, cane toads, yes. I want to learn something. Is that true? Is this true? They keep their baby tadpoles in their skin. Oh, yeah, that's very Lovecraftian. I can see where Lovecraft would have got inspired by this idea. So, Cranky should be paying attention. Knowing Fangs believers, they could have several different denominations each cast rules. Yeah, I mean, I could be like a follower of one denomination in 1 hour and then switch to another one the next hour. You can do that. Perfectly acceptable. Amen. No problem. I'm always up to give it. Like if people are really down, I really do try to like encourage people because I know like people come here like on Deconversion Hangout on Thursday, and I know that they just want to hang out someplace where people are going to have fun and encourage them. And you don't have to, deal with theists all the time in the comments. And, tonight, people ask me is all that stuff. So, it's like, I just want people to have a better life. Like, I end my show the same way. And I genuinely mean that part, like take all your time, money, and opportunities and spend them on yourself, the people you love and care for, and to make a better world. I genuinely believe all that. That's one of my main aims with being a YouTuber, just make this place a better world. And part of that is, when people are down a little bit, like I know, like Captive Death, Dave, he's facing a lot of, health issues. Some of Simos that appears on this Saturday night, he's in the hospital right now. And I'm like, I'm not going to pray for him. But I am going to wish them well and say, hey man, hope you're feeling better, because I genuinely have a lot of empathy for people when they're suffering, because as a pastor, I used to sit on the bedside of a lot of people. So, I hate to be, real there, but yes. Oh, cane toads are the ones you lick. Okay, there you go. Earl is soft. Boy, I don't know which Earl you're talking about, asshole. I'm going to tell you this, asshole. If the two of you ever get into a real fight, my money's on Earl. Okay, I'm just being real. My money's on Earl. I know which way to bet. So, okay, multiple schisms simultaneously embrace the chaos. There we go. I agree. Wolves breed with toads. I don't know. Cult of Dagon. There you go. Yeah, trypophobia. I would rather be waterboarded than see a toad again. Okay. Don't cancel the Saturday streams. They're the one. See, I'm debating with when to stream. I've also thought about I may put this as a poll to the membership and maybe to the community at large. But I am considering shortening the weekday streams down to an actual hour instead of like an hour, 15, hour and a half like they are now. And maybe going either Monday through Friday or Monday through Thursday, take Friday off and still do the Saturday stream. So some of you can indeed be ridiculous. I may put some options in a poll. But yes, one of the things I'm thinking about is doing more weekday streams, but shortening them so that they don't take up a tremendous amount of time, like doing a regular hour's task. So, but thanks. Yes, but this is, I am enjoying streaming more, but I'm also taking more of a Paulogia approach to producing videos, which is what's up next, produce it and get it out there, and then work on the next one whenever they're ready. And of course, members, of course, will get to see those first. So yes, Earl. No, I'm just saying. I'm sorry. Yes, Earl is scrappy. Take Earl in the second round. All right, how many people would pay money to see that? Okay. You like jumping spiders? I think they're cute too. There's actually, I have a mixed reactions with spiders. It depends on the spiders and what they're doing. You don't like wolf spiders? All right. Okay. Maybe I'll take it off now. Oh my goodness. I get elbow when you get fisted. Okay. Cutesy contest. Okay, there we go. But yes. So, but yeah, I'm making some changes for next year probably because, I'm trying to grow my channel to be a little bit broader and reach more people as always. I've always had my eye on the growth. I want to grow every month in some way, shape, or form, either financially or subscribers or views or something. So. This is as bad as the last stream, me showing those 2 clips of all of us, where Earl has a reaction to the M word. So, and the moment when the circumcised carrot was born. Yes, those were great clips. So, oh my goodness. You win by forfeit? Okay, there you go. Who's forfeiting though? Is that a new rule? I wouldn't be surprised if the NFL tried that rule where they make a rule where if you forfeit, you win the game. So, take her over. You wouldn't dream of fight. Yeah, I'm with you, Ron. Oh my goodness. All right. See, now I'm bringing out the popcorn. I'm watching this. Oh. Curtsies. Oh. You did it. Asho. Asho. Out of control. Over the line. And I went. Oh my goodness. Yes. Oh, no nipple forfeit. Yeah. Un-American. That's possible. I don't know. I'm not going to read this comment as so, but this was over the line. You're making Earl gack. See, I think this is the only way you can win. Azo is like bringing out something that Earl's going to like head off to, vomit about, and so you win by forfeit. Like is that the only way you can win, asshole? It's like because I'm sure in a physical confrontation she'd kick your ass, but red card. It's a street fight. Okay, fair enough. So I'm getting the popcorn out. I'm watching. Offering up commentary. I'm the color commentator right now. Oh my gosh. Yeah, she could release the dogs of hell. That's possible. Yeah, as Howard points out the point, he has a hellhound, so he's not scared. Yes, Azho's playing dirty. You should have known. Earl, you should have known. What do you know about Azho? It's in the name. Like, oh yeah. It's fine. I've watched Earl and Azho go at it so many times, and that they come away and they'll be friends. Yeah. Well, this is also true. Asshole. She made your hellhound, so it's one of those cases where you go to somebody's house and the person thinks that the dog is going to protect them because they're the owner of the dog, but the dog actually likes the person coming to the house better. So, chaos. So when Fangs had on, officially ignore IKA when somebody's cheating. Yes, you can do that. Yeah. I mean, I do all kinds of official things with the hat on, Cranky, but I don't think many people take them seriously because they keep creating denominations and heresies and schisms. So based on what I say with the hat on. So innards, finding 2 yolks and an egg and flesh. Yeah. There you go. Yes, but Jack doesn't have therapy about Earl herself. Jack and the Hellhound may like Earl better than they like you, asshole. You're an asshole. I mean, true, she's like the Goblin Queen. So there's that. Oh, the hair I see Fluffledome. There we go. See, I'm down for that, Evan. We need a Fluffledome where you can settle your disputes. 2 people enter, one leaves. Oh my goodness. Bye, Jack. Oh my goodness. Yes, she is the Goblin Queen. Oh my gosh. Yes, I think I don't know. Did Earl clean that one up? I can't remember. Yes, she did. I don't know if I've shown the cleaned up version of this picture. Here, I'll make myself smaller. There we go. This is the Goblin Queen in her realm. 2 people enter, 1 Earl leaves. Okay, there we go. Oh my goodness. I always love the end of streams. You guys make it so fun. Get done with the serious part, talking about Habermas, but then that goes into this. Yes, this is the Hall of the Goblin Queen. It's, what's bad for me, Earl, is I'm starting to understand this photo the more I look at it. So yes, I'm just, I've enjoyed, you did not unsub. You have a wrench. You're not allowed to unsub. We have forced you to be a moderator here. So you can't unsub. And so you can't leave. You're not allowed to leave. Yes, Azo is damned to being a part of the Rabid Atheist forever. Like, this is a decree from the holy Fangs. So Fangs has made it so. I speak for the Fangs, and Azo has been permanently placed at the Rabid Atheist. Oh, I love you, Azo. I hope you know that. You're one of my favorite people. So I pick on you because I like you. So you should see what I do to my enemies. Yes. See, Earl? There you go. I know you're trying to make a sub down though, but yes. But yes, he's a permanent subscriber, permanent mod. He's been given a blue wrench. So once I give somebody a blue wrench, they're kind of damned to hell. So yes, there we go. Titties come out. The Hall of the Mountain King. Yes. CMC. Oh. Well, and schism is encouraged. So you're more than welcome to create any denominations or schisms you want. I got people that have created part fluffles of fangs that hate fangs. That's even part of it too. Like, can Christianity do that? Does Christianity ever create a denomination where they hate Jesus? We don't. We can do that. You can create a denomination where you hate fangs. You can hate the hellhound. You can hate all of it and still be a part of the fluffle. So there you go. Oh, you're the gagger, not the gaggy. Don't look that up at work. Love that song in a dubstep version. It's High Priest Asho to you. There you go. Fine. Give yourself whatever time. I am the grandmaster of the fluffle, so I speak for fangs. So I am the mouth of fangs. Let's throw in a Lord of the Rings reference. Oh. I don't know. Lord and Savior. Okay, there you go. See, we can even have other things get in this. Fangs is not, as an agent of chaos, Fangs is down with that. Yes, and I'm wearing the hat. So there you go. I have the hat. See, that's your problem, man. So you got to get a hat. You can't really look like an official leader of any religious order without a really cool hat. And I've got the hat, see? So this is why I bought the hat. Oh my gosh. It's nice. But yes, there you go. Yes, I'm wearing the hat. Yes, you have to have a really silly hat to be a leader of a religion. That's just mandatory. So you've got to have a hat. I like that, asshole. First, second schism of Fluffle Church of Hellhound, something or another. Oh my goodness. Oh my gosh. Hatfields and my fluffers. There we go. See, I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh, okay. All right. Well, there we go. There we go. Introducing people. There we go. Yes, I don't have a robe. I do have a really cool cloak and hood, though, so that I wear on occasion. When there's super high church occasions, I wear my cloak and hood, like holidays and stuff. So I wore it on Halloween because that's a high holy day for fangs. You wear skull flaps and that silly hats. I'd like to see you. Okay, so the next time you're online and I'm with you, I want to see you in one of those silly skull caps. I want to see it. I'll wear this. And we could be the living embodiment of the major schism heresy of fangs. We can do that. The hellhound version of Fangsology and the non-hellhound version. There we go. Father of metal. Okay. Yes, you got to have like all the extra stuff to be a proper dress. Now, when I was in church, I played a couple of biblical characters and I had to wear the robes and everything. So I wish I had photos of that. That would be hilarious. Been wearing wearing skull caps all the time. Now you got to define, what are we talking about skull caps here? Does it look like a skull or is it? Oh my goodness. Oh, he was late to the party. Okay, well that's probably fair. Why would the characters look? I don't know. Oh my gosh. Yes. What is a deadly skull cap? Oh my goodness. Oh man. Well, folks, I'm going to call it a night because I'm growing ravenously hungry. I haven't eaten anything since I got up. So I try not to eat when I first get up because then I get sick. So I'm going to have to call it a night. It's been 2 hours and 15 minutes of a stream already. So thanks everybody. Hopefully everybody got something out of the Paulogia part of this. This last part is just me hanging with everybody for a little while, and I appreciate all of it. You guys are awesome. I want to thank all the people that donated tonight. Fred with his 5 gifted memberships to the Rabyd Atheists that allows them to use emojis and all that stuff. And Triple E was here. Cranky was here, donating with the Holy Bunny hat. Senator of the Breath of Life is Scary. And then Fred pushed us over the line for the goal. Thank you very much, Fred. You guys are awesome. I just want to let everybody know that everybody who donates to this channel is just awesome. I appreciate you. You guys have kept me going. You've done all the things that you need to do, and I appreciate that so much. So thanks everybody for stopping by. May Fangs bless all of you. May he nibble on all of your hearts and make sure that you keep all your little pieces of paper in order. Oh my goodness. But yes, but nom nom and all of that. Make sure you put a circumcised carrot on all of your stashes to make sure Fangs doesn't steal them and give them to somebody else, because he is an agent of chaos and he will do that. So make sure you have all of that. But Fangs will also probably keep you organized with your little pieces of paper and your vibes and your stick figures. So he might do that, or he may not. So be advised. But nom nom and all that. And as always, folks, live your best life. You only get one go around, so make it a good one. Give all your time, your money, your opportunities to yourself, the people you love and care for, and to make this a better world. You'd be happier if you do. And don't waste them on the trappings of religion and faith, because that's a dead end. I speak from experience. And as always, folks, thanks for stopping by, and I will see all of you next time on Monday. We'll probably do a little fireside chat, and maybe I'll have one of my new hats for Christmas by then, so we'll see. But we'll see you all then, and appreciate all of you, and see you all next time.
It's time to take a stand, bringing the truth to a fucked up